much for coming. For those of you, I work at the Locus, and I, together with David, helped to organize this event. So, like this time, I'm going to start with a little story. I remember meeting David, and someone told me, "Oh, this is a great guy to have event with." I was like, "Okay, he's an amazing speaker. He's like really cool, and you should talk to him about doing something like this." I was like, "All right. So, do you want to grab a coffee?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." And we sat down on the table over there, and he was like, "Right, so I think these things like spiritual, emotional intelligence. You have to trust your gut and all this." And for the half an hour I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna like be floating here, meditating, everybody in the light." But the more I get to know him, the more I trusted like he's the right person to talk about this. And actually, I'm really excited about this event. And yeah, thank you very much for doing this.
Yay! Thank you, Lenka. Everybody give Lenka a hand. That was a great introduction. I will summarily disappoint. But today's going to be a little bit different. I got no slides. And I just have some stories. And I have some stories that are different from other stories I've told in the business context. So we're going to see what happens today. And I want it to be a conversation. I don't want to talk at you for an hour plus. I see lots of friendly faces. Thank you all so much for coming out. This is being live streamed. So hello, YouTube. I don't know who's on YouTube right now. There's probably a couple. No two moments are ever the same. This is actually, we will never actually have this moment again, ever. So I would just love for each of you to turn to the two people next to you and say, "Hey, I really appreciate you being here with me in this moment that we will never have again." In your own words. So say hi, say thank you for being here to the people next to
I did 3 people.
You did 3 people. That's great. 3 gratitudes. But it's true. We never have these moments again. So how do we actually use our moments and to help us grow, to help our businesses grow? Each moment comes and goes. And that's actually what spiritual and emotional intelligence is all about. It's about how do we use what's actually going on with us in the moment to grow ourselves and our businesses. How many people know about emotional intelligence already? Does someone want to share about why they think it's important? It might not be important. You should probably make sure it's important. Anybody want to talk about why it's important? Please.
It's how you react to certain situations, like whether you panic or stress and quite calm and so on.
So our responses to certain situations. And what's the intelligence part of that?
On the low level of intelligence, you could panic and stress. On the high level, you can be quite calm and
Okay, so that's interesting. It's an interesting idea that we could, at a high level of intelligence, handle our emotions with logic. Has anyone tried that? How's that working out for you? What else? Why is spiritual intelligence important and emotional intelligence important? Does anybody have an idea?
Yeah, because if you know what's going on in you, if you have some kind of level of emotional intelligence, you can learn what is going inside of you, what kind of processes are going there. So at this moment, I am excited. Next moment, I am happy. And you know that this is going on in you. And this you can use for business because you know how do you feel when you're doing business.
Yes. Thank you. And why is that? Why is it important to know what's going on inside of us?
We are human beings. We are based on emotional feelings.
Yeah. Human beings are actually 95% feelings. I'm going to draw a human. Okay. We're going to draw a lot on this chart. Should I make a guy or a girl?
Transgender.
It's both, okay? That's me on Saturday night. So pretend there's like a line right here. We're gonna call this 5%. If I'm being generous, which is more like 1 to 3% for most people. This is 5%, and under this line is 95%. Does anybody know what this 5% is? What this 5% represents? This 5% represents everything going on in our nervous system that we're actually aware of. That includes all thoughts and feelings that we're actually aware of, that are in our conscious mind. So this is conscious. And as I said, 5% is above average. This is non-conscious. Now, I'm sorry if you guys can't read my writing in the back, but it's just conscious and non-conscious. So basically, 95% of what's going on in this dual gender person is below that person's awareness, below that person's understanding in their day-to-day life. Why is this important? Well, I'll tell you a quick story about how this can interact with us. So a couple of years ago, I got divorced, which is a great idea. But that's not really, the story is about what happened afterward, which is I moved in with my parents at the age of 35. Not so great an idea. And I was getting tea one morning, and my father was sitting in the same spot where he always sits, and he had his like computer, he was watching some news like he always watches, and he said something like, Obama is ruining the country, like, we need Donald Trump. And I was like walking with my tea, and I was like, not in my family, you know? And we had this like gigantic argument.
Okay, so firstly, thank you very much for coming. For those of you, I work at the Locus, and I, together with David, helped to organize this event. So, like this time, I'm going to start with a little story. I remember meeting David, and someone told me, "Oh, this is a great guy to have event with." I was like, "Okay, he's an amazing speaker. He's like really cool, and you should talk to him about doing something like this." I was like, "All right. So, do you want to grab a coffee?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." And we sat down on the table over there, and he was like, "Right, so I think these things like spiritual, emotional intelligence, you have to trust your gut and all this." And for the half an hour I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna like be floating here, meditating, everybody in the light." But the more I get to know him, the more
my dad thinking about how does he possibly think this? And I was like looking at articles, like send articles, yeah, read the article. You know, and I'm like trying to do my work, I'm like talking with clients, and then in the middle of talking with a client, I'll feel this like, "Oh yeah, I should say that to my dad. I told him to say that tomorrow morning, to say that to my dad." Next morning, got up, went in, got my tea, and my dad is scanning, he's like watching some news show, some like Fox News, and talking about Donald Trump, and I'm like, "Did you see the article I sent you? Did you read the article?" You know, he's like, "No, I saw the headline. It looked interesting to me." I'm like, "Oh, you didn't even read it? You didn't read it?" Just a whole other argument happened. This went on for like, we got to establish a daily routine of having an argument in the morning about politics. And then one day, I was sitting in my room, and I was just like so furious with my dad, and I was just felt like, what is it? What am I doing? What is this serving? I actually saw a quote I had on my wall, which, and the quote is that behind every grievance, there is a miracle. And the way I interpreted that quote was that behind everything that upsets us, there's actually a way to find love in the situation. So I thought about that for a second with my argument with my dad, and I was like, man, what is going on? This doesn't make me feel good. This isn't changing anything. We've been doing this for weeks. Nobody is even considering the other person's opinion. How is this a useful use of our time at all? And I just felt horrible. And I had already been doing a lot of emotional processing at this point. I had already learned how to feel my emotions and process them. So I decided to apply one of the rules of emotional intelligence. And that is that no one can give you an emotion. No circumstance or person can give you an emotion. They can trigger emotions, but that you have inside of you already. They can't give them to you. So I realized I was approaching this situation like my dad was making me angry. With his discussions about politics, this political situation was making me angry. But when I thought about this idea that no one can give me emotions, I realized that I had to have the anger inside me already. It was just being triggered by the situation. So I thought to myself, like, oh man, what am I angry about? What am I angry about? Am I angry at my dad? Am I angry at my dad? And then I started to feel like a little bit angry. And I was like, oh shit, I'm angry at my dad. Like, why am I angry at my dad? Like, oh, God. And I know that to let emotions out of you go through your body, you have to feel them 100%. So I was starting to really feel the emotions, and I was like, fuck you, Dad. Yes, fuck you, Dad. And I know that. And I was like, I was in my room, and should we have done like a parental advisory on this YouTube? Sorry, hey kids, fuck your dads. So I was sitting there, and all this anger was like coming at me, and I really felt it rising, and all of a sudden, I started getting memories. I started getting memories of when I was a kid. I started getting memories of times I was a kid where my dad totally just, dominated the family situation. My dad totally just did something that really made me really upset. So memories started coming up where I remember my mother crying and me not being able to do anything. Memories started coming up of all these memories attached to this anger started coming up when I was a kid. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually furious at my dad. And I just started it went on for maybe 10 minutes of me just sitting there, flexing every muscle, just silently screaming in my room, just going like this in the direction of my father. And after a while, all this heat was coming off me. I was sweating. I was just a sweaty mess in my room, screaming, giving the finger. And then all of a sudden, the anger, sometimes you feel things in your gut, should go this way, should go this way. You actually have cells in your gut calculating below your conscious awareness what you should do. Trying to figure out, based on everything you've incorporated in your life, what decision you need to make. This is actually the oldest brain that we have. The first neurons to ever evolve were in the gut of worms. That's what scientists think. The collection of neurons inside of heads is a relatively new evolutionary idea. For many millions of years, neurons only existed in the gut. So these are the first ones. These are our oldest ones. Don't we think they would be the most powerful? The most hardwired into who we are. This is why the processing speed of our body's nervous system is so much faster and stronger than the processing speed of our brain. Well, how do we use this information? What do we do with this information? Well, we realize that our decisions are actually driven by the information we have in the 95%. And if you want to look at what you have, if you want to know what you have in the 95%, you can look at what your life is right now. It's the way you live your life, the guide rails of your life, the things you allow yourself to do or not do. That is the blueprint that reflects what you have inside your non-conscious nervous system. So if we want to make changes in our lives, if we want to be more emotionally intelligent, if we want to improve our businesses and our experiences, We can't just play with what we're aware of automatically by default in our conscious mind. That's like we're just moving little things on the surface. You know, we're trying to make a perfect apartment and we're just like moving cups on a table. You know, we're trying to, that's like trying to change the course of a river by splashing some of the water on top of the river. You know, we just push water on top of the river. If we want to actually make changes that stick, this is why most habits are it's so hard to form new habits from it. This is why so many people will start something new and then they'll stop. Or they'll like want to take a course or something and start the course and they won't finish. Their nervous system is basically snapping them back into what's familiar. Because 95% of our behaviors and decisions are decided unconsciously. There's so much science that backs this up. You can find this information in like a 2-second Google search. You can find all kinds of articles about this. And what I'll talk to you about right now is this book called Biology, which talks about the consumer markets. You know, when they have studied people making purchasing decisions, the average purchasing decision takes 2.5 seconds. I mean, that's not nearly enough time for anyone to be logically thinking about, is this purchase logically good for me or not? That's not enough time. What happened already is that your non-conscious nervous system decided you wanted to make that purchase, and then your brain came up with reasons about why that purchase makes sense. That's really the order of decisions. You decide in your non-conscious nervous system, you decide in your gut, in your heart, in your body, and then your brain translates that impulse into something that makes sense for you. Like you just went out with a new girl or guy, right? Now you have to figure out when to text them, right? You got to figure out like to text them, right? Wait, day, what do I say? You want to hang out again? It's really fun. All of those things that you're going to decide. I mean, all of those are kind of already decided for you. Only one of those things is going to feel good. Why does one feel good and the others don't feel good? There's no right or wrong answer for that. Logically, you can't predict. You wouldn't be able to predict how to create a better response, but you think you can because your brain interprets the impulse coming up this way. This is the direction of the nervous system. This is the direction of the nervous system, going up into the brain. This vagus nerve, when they look at the information in the vagus nerve, 80% of the signals that attach every major organ to the brain, 80% is moving up the vagus nerve. We'll talk about vagal tone in a bit. Controlling your vagus nerve is actually one way to really enhance your emotional intelligence. So there's information flying up into the brain, and decision is already made. That decision impulse, they're impulses. They come in the form of impulses. And your brain translates that into like a sentence or an action that you can do. And it's all just trying to help you be okay, trying to help you survive in your impression of the world. And your impression of the world is different than everybody else's impression of the world. Your experience right now in this room is very different in many ways from the person next to you. The way that people value you. Okay. Okay. What else? What does money mean? Anything else?
Abstraction.
Abstraction.
Nice.
Why not? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? What do you mean by that?
I think it's not the real thing. It's just a kind of potential, an abstract potential, and it's a tool.
Okay, cool.
It is.
Yes.
And sometimes potential is to say most people don't really know they are. But they know that if they have this money,
So what does money do for you in your life?
it is a tool
To do what?
to dream.
Nice.
It's a tool to dream. You need money to dream?
I think most people dream with money. It's an abstraction.
Okay, well, let's just put dream on there. Dreaming with money. It's like a big cool bit, just like swimming in
Yeah,
money.
they think, what will I buy? I will go will be happy, I
Yeah.
will travel,
Yeah.
I will be safe,
Uh-huh.
I will experience things.
Isn't it interesting how,
Everything is
like, we see money as both the key to our safety and our freedom? Say security, you know? So it's very interesting when people say security because we're opposite concepts, in some ways similar. Money means safety and power. You know, money means the ability to dream and have fun. All these things, but really.
It's illusion.
And logically, we can probably very quickly make a logical argument that, yeah, you know what, you don't actually need money to have fun without money. You don't actually need money to be safe. I mean, like, you know, there's always someone we can go live with if we get in really, really hard times. You know, most of us have that situation. Money to have experiences. I mean, you know, there are people who have just all they do is meditate all day and have crazy, you know, experiences. Whatever. You can take a drug and have insane psychedelic experiences. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need much money for that. I hope you're out if you want to. And then health. You know, that's an interesting one because, you know, does money stop rich people from dying?